Byron, since Thursday, the S&P 500 has lost almost 8%, but we are rallying today. Is that the end of the scare for at least the S&P 500 this time round?
Well, I don't think it's the end of the scare. The scare is going to loom over the market for a long time. I think it's a snapback from the sharp declines of the last few days. But I still think we're not out of the woods yet.
Byron, you said that we were going to see very many corrections or some corrections of more than 5% before we get to 3,500 on the S&P 500. Are we still on the way to 3,500? We're at 3,168 right now.
Well, I'm not giving up on the 3,500, but I do think this correction should be more severe. It will depend on how the coronavirus really impacts the U.S. The president is very optimistic that it won't be too severe here, but supply chains have been interrupted around the world, and it's pretty clear that there's going to be a sharp slowdown in China. And that's one of the drivers of growth for the whole world. So I'm not willing to say that we're in the clear yet.
Byron, what do you think of a U.S. 10-year at 135? What signal are you taking away from that?
Well, people are, you have to put the money somewhere, and nobody wants to put it in equities right now. And so they're putting it into bonds. But I think that's an aberrationally low yield.
So what you're saying is that there's not much economic signal coming from it. It's basically a flow story.
It's really a supply and demand story. I don't think it has any economic significance.
One of your surprises at the beginning of the year, Byron, was that Federal Reserve Chair Powell would lower the Fed funds rate to 1%. Now, that's not this, but at the same time, hitting a low, an all-time low at 130.55, is that helping the Fed chair?
Yeah, I do think the Fed will respond to the threat of the coronavirus by lowering rates. And at the beginning of the year, when I said the Fed would lower rates 2 times, I thought the economy would be disappointing. But I didn't think it would be disappointing because of this virus. I had no idea this virus would hit, even though there were cases of it in December before the surprises were announced. But now the coronavirus is here and world growth is slowing, I think the likelihood of 2 rate cuts is much higher.